Welcome back to another episode of the Casey Campbell Podcast. Casey Campbell with you, of course. Pleased to be joined by Brad Zube, the head football coach at Ortonville. Brandon, how's it going?
Good, man. Thanks for having me on the show. Appreciate it.
Yeah, gotta say, first off, a nice background for the office there, bud.
Thank you. We like the home office. Get some work done down here. Got a dry erase board there if we need it, and some great memories around here. So that's where we get our work done.
Yeah, man. So let's recap this. For people that might not know, how'd you guys do last year, and how is the summer going so far?
Yeah, last year was another. We were happy last year. We're never content. We were 6-3 last year with a very young football team. Broke in a lot of new guys last year, and the boys competed well. Our half of the Flint Metro League was very tough last year, obviously with Goodrich going all the way to the state finals. We ended up losing to them in the first round of the playoffs. But our half of the Flint Metro is getting very competitive with Goodrich and Lake Fenton and Corunna and ourselves. So last year was 6-3 for us, our eighth consecutive trip to the state playoff. So we're proud of what we're doing over there. Summer's been good, camps 7-on-7, summer lifting, all that good stuff, and just trying to get the 23 team rounded into shape here.
All right, so let's talk about some of the returners on this team. Just kind of go around and talk about as many as you can.
Yeah. Okay. Start with the quarterback.
Why not?
Okay. Returning quarterback Lance Brylet going into his junior season. Nice, smart kid for us. Runs our no huddle offense very well. Threw for 2,000 yards last year. He started 5 games as a freshman for us. Came in as an injury reserve player for us. We lost our quarterback week 3 of that season. Then last year he started 10 games for us. Did a nice job, and now we got a kid going into his junior year with 15 starts, and we like Lance a lot. Our fullback position, we have a new starter at fullback this year, Austin Simonson. Big, strong weight room kid, runs hard. He moved in last year, was a new player for us, played a little bit of linebacker for us. We're going to move him to fullback now. He did a little bit of that in the reserve role last year. He's a 3-sport kid for us at Brandon. We really like what he brings to the table. Our 2 slot players, Luke Hansen is a sophomore, another 3-sport athlete for us at Brandon, does a lot. Good lanky kid, can move, has good speed. Started 9 games as a freshman for us on varsity last year at corner. He will start at safety for us on defense and in the slot this year on offense. And then our other slot is our returning first-team All-State player, Drew Hickmott. Drew was first-team All-State last year as a wide receiver by the Michigan High School Coaches Association, and was first-team All-State defensive back in the Detroit Free Press. So Drew's been a 4-year starter for us. This will be his 3rd year being a 2-way guy for us. He's an outstanding football player. He's another 3-sport kid. He's a point guard on the basketball team. He runs track. He's got a preferred walk-on roster spot at U of M if he wants it. And we're waiting on some other offers too. Some D2 offers are starting to come in for Drew, and we think he's going to get a lot of offers here before the end of the fall. It's a good start on the offense. You want to jump in, or want me to keep rolling?
Yeah, go ahead. Just keep rolling along.
Sure. Okay. Our 2 outside receivers, Danny Protiva is a junior. Dan's another good-sized kid. He plays outside linebacker for us as well. Drew and Luke and Danny are our 3 kids that are scheduled to be 2-way starters right now. Danny Protiva played a lot of slot for us last year, played a lot of safety. Now he's going to be an outside receiver and a linebacker. And then on the other side, we have a young man named Brody Brichelli. We got him from the basketball team. He's a senior, hasn't played a ton of football, but he's a very good athlete. And we're hoping he can do some similar stuff that we got out of our receiver play last year. So that's our receiving core. Up front on our offensive line, we're very young up there. That's a group that's getting together right now. Last year, we graduated 4 starting offensive linemen. We had 4 seniors on the line last year. That was our most veteran position group last year on a young team, which was helpful to have those guys. But our center is returning. Nate McChesney is a center for us, does a great job. He's also a terrific long snapper. And then we have a couple more linemen, Jesse Multrip and Andrew Gramansky. Both of those guys were spot starters last year and rotational guys, and they should settle in nicely on our line this year. And then we've got some position battles for the other 2 spots that'll get geared up on Monday. We got some guys that are fighting for those last couple starting jobs on the offensive line, and we like the prospects that are fighting for those spots. That's the offense for you.
Well, and then let's talk about the defense. We're starting with the defensive line.
Sure. Defensive line. We have a senior that we like at nose tackle, a real tough kid, Calvin Solis, another wrestler. We love wrestlers that play football. We wish we had all of them. We're trying, but Calvin plays nose tackle for us. The 2 kids I mentioned on the offensive line, Gramansky and Moultrip, we're going to see how those 2 compete, and hopefully they can share a defensive line job so they don't have to play every snap of the game. And then we have a young man named Darren Lininger, who we like at defensive end coming up from the JV team. We really like our linebacking core. We have 2 inside linebackers that are fantastic players. They were both all-league players last year. Jake DeFalco was a first-team all-league player in the Flint Metro. Got some other accolades as well. Jake was a 90 tackle kid for us last year. He's a thumper. He brings it. Very good instinctive linebacker. Going to be a senior. Was also an all-state wrestler. I think he finished 6th in his weight class last year. He's kind of a dude for us on defense. Next to him is Isaac Miller. Isaac's a Division I lacrosse player. Came out to us last year after his friends begged him, and his lacrosse skills translated to football very well, and he turned himself into a all-league caliber linebacker by the end of the year. So he's back. So him and Jake will run around the inside of the defense. And then our outside linebackers are 2 converted safeties. I mentioned Danny Protiva earlier, and the other is Carter Aquilina right now. Carter is going to be a sophomore. He's a very athletic kid as well. Obviously, there's some those positions on the outside too. There's going to be some guys pushing for playing time and competing with them in camp. So obviously, we're throwing out some names, but not everything's written in red ink yet. And then in the secondary, Luke Hansen and Drew Hickman, who we talked about earlier, both very good, skilled players. They'll be at the safety positions, running around making plays for us. And then our cornerbacks, we like where our corner's at. There's probably about 3 or 4 or 5 guys right now we're trying to wedge into 2 position battles there, and we think we have an idea where it's going. We're going to see how it plays out in the next couple of weeks.
Let's talk about mention special teams for a minute. Where are we at on that?
Yep. So Drew Hickman does a lot of things. He's going to kick for us and punt as well. So, and he'll probably return punts. We'll try to probably give him a break on kick receive if he lets us. He might not let us give him a break. He's that kind of kid. But Drew does a lot of the specialty work for us. We got a couple soccer players that are going to come out and try some kicks for us this week as well. And like I mentioned before, the McChesney kid is a heck of a long snapper.
Yeah, for sure.
Yep.
All right. Well, we talked about all the kids. Let's talk about the schedule that you guys have. So going in, I'll just read this off really quick.
Yeah.
So August 24th, you'll be at Bay City John Glenn. That's where you'll start the season. First home game of the year will be August 31st, home against Auburn Hills Avondale. September 8th will be home against Corunna. September 15th at Lake Fenton. September 22nd at Clio. September 29th at home against Owasso. October 6th at Goodrich. The Metro League crossover game will be on October 13th. No word on if it will be home or away. On October 20th, you'll finish out the season at East Point. So
I believe our division's away for the crossovers this year.
Okay, so it is. So it will be. So that will be an away game week 8.
I believe so. Yeah.
Okay. Well, we'll find out if that is true or not.
I'll let you know.
Okay, sounds good. So going into so a pretty good schedule. So to kind of talk about just what you got.
Yeah, we like to schedule out of conference for those non-league games. So we have 3 teams that are in different leagues as us, which we like to get out and see how other leagues and other areas play football. Coach Horton does a nice job up at Bay City John Glenn. He's an offensive lineman guru, and I know his boys are going to be ready to try to push us around. So nice litmus test there for week 1 to get on the road, take a nice long bus ride up to Bay City. They'll be down at our place next year, and we'll get a look at them. We've never played them before. We played Bay City Central the last 2 years, and now we're playing Bay City John Glenn. They're another Division 4 team like we are. So that'll be a fun new opponent for us to see how we stack up against those guys. Then week 2, we play, like you mentioned, Auburn Hills Avondale. That's a very athletic football team. They have a new head football coach over there as well, who's had a ton of success Bob Meyer's done very well at Clarenceville and at Walled
Yep.
Lake Central. So we're expecting Avondale to be a heck of a football game. They always have very athletic kids, and we know they'll be prepared. That's a special night for us too. That is our salute to service night, where we invite all of our local, police, first responders, firefighters, military personnel. It's always a nice night for us, and we honor one of our local police officers who was our school officer who passed away in duty about 7 years ago now. So it's always a nice night for us too. The whole community comes out. So Avondale should be a nice game. And then last non-conference at week 9 is we're going out to East Point. So another long bus ride out there. They have a young head coach with a ton of energy. Coach Hall, he's going to have those guys ready for us week 9 too. And we'll see what Macomb County football looks like for the last week of the season. And then the league schedule is all there in between.
So let's talk about the league schedule for a minute.
Yeah.
What's I mean, with one of those teams going all the way to the state finals, just kind of talk about what the league's going to look like this year.
Yeah, I mean it's a very competitive league. Our half of the Flint Metro has gotten very competitive. Goodrich is always going to line up and play you, and Coach Allward has done a great job for a long time over at Goodrich. His kids are always ready, and he had some skill type athletes a couple of years ago when they were a spread team and they threw it all over the place. And then he had some real big, tough linemen and tough running backs, and he got back into his I formation and he ran it down everybody's throats last year. So he does a nice job just adapting to his personnel and what he has. And they were phenomenal last year. They're a good football team. They always will be. Corunna has got a great team coming back. They've got a great group of kids coming back. They have 2 twin brothers that are fantastic athletes. They got a big fullback. They got an offensive line with some returning starters on it. So Corunna's always good. Lake Fenton, I think, was 3-6 last year, and they beat us, and they were that's a darn good 3-6 football team. That record was not an indication of what Marty's doing up there at Lake Fenton. His kids can play. So that's going to be a heck of a game. So when we have Corunna and Lake Fenton back to back in league play, that's going to, be a good barometer for kind of how the league might, shake out there. And then Goodrich is our final league game. And then we've got Owasso and Clio in there in between. And they've got both of those schools have coaches in their second year who are doing a great job trying to resurrect those programs and get kids out and get kids believing in football in those communities. So, those guys are always going to come at you, and those guys will have their teams ready to go for sure.
Yeah. Okay. So how have you kind of approached this is a week where not a lot of things are happening. How did you approach this week?
We don't give the kids off this week. It's they can still come in and condition. So we understood that a lot of guys were going to be on vacation and maybe out of town and finishing up their summer. So we understood that, but we kept the weight room open. The strength conditioning coach was there, and we got 3 good workouts in with the guys that could come in this week. And, just getting everything prepared for Monday and making sure the boys show up to practice with their physicals and everything ready to go, and we'll fire away on Monday. But yeah, this is it's a good week to get a lot of things done. We always tell the kids to wrap everything up this week and enjoy it. But the weight room was still open.
Yeah, for sure. What do you want really? I know this. I always enjoy this part of the year because there's only 2 weeks. Well, 2 weeks and 4 days.
Yeah,
some 5.
Yeah,
to get ready for that. To get ready for that first game.
Right.
And so, what do you want to see out of this team heading into that first game?
It's just one of those things. We always break down our our stretch and our conditioning with who a cheer to beat the team we're playing next, right? So we've been talking about beating John Glenn since we got into football class, or I'm sorry, varsity athletic training class back in January. So we've had Bay City on our mind for a long time, but they're a new opponent, so we don't really have film on them. We know what kind of team they are and how they're going to be coached, but it's just all about getting your own team, taking care of your own guys, getting your team ready, figuring out what the depth chart looks like, who the guys are that can play, who's going to push for playing time, just getting to know your team. That's what I like best about this time of year is every team. This is going to my 27th year coaching football, and every team I've ever been around always has its own unique dynamic personality and how they're going to fit into the team, how they're going to groove as a unit. And that's always kind of fun these first couple of weeks to see the leaders step forward, knowing that last year's seniors are gone, who steps up, who becomes a leader, who the characters are on your team. And, kids always step up and surprise you. There's always a kid that you maybe didn't have circled as a guy, and all of a sudden that guy's a dude for you. So, that's what we like about these first couple weeks, just getting to know who we are and, getting ourselves, ready to play a football game.
Yeah, for sure. All right.
Yeah.
Well, Brad, thank you so much for coming on and talking with us, and best of luck this season to you guys.
All right. Hey, thanks, Casey. Appreciate it.